Hey, welcome to the First Issue Club. We're your weekly comic book podcast. We're just like Sue Storm. We love a good read. Comic books, it's not something like golf, where the less you have, the more important it is. Oh, they're more meaningful because I only have a couple of them. No, they gain more meaning and more greatness with the volume of which you acquire and consume them. The lore goes deep, my friends. And don't kids love saying lore these days? Have you noticed that? Do you have kids of your own? They love talking about their own backgrounds as lore.
It makes the monotony less so when you talk about yourself as a hobbit, like your life's written by Tolkien.
You're the superhero of your own story.
Main character energy, baby.
That is true. It does seem very self-important to be sharing your lore with somebody.
Yeah. Little lore drop for you.
But whatever. Fun word, great lexicon we have here in the old US of A. Keep it up, children.
Keep it up, youths.
Keep reading your dictionaries. Greg, this is a week unlike any other week.
Oh.
We've got maybe one of the biggest comic book events of 2026. The release of a new Robert Kirkman book. You may know him from Walking Dead, Invincible, Outcast, all comics he's written that have turned into shows. This guy writes hits and bangers, and he doesn't
That's all
do
he
it.
knows.
He doesn't do it super often anymore. He's definitely a prolific writer, right? But he's being like the head of Skybound and producing television shows and all of his other responsibilities. He's not pumping out several new indie comics a year anymore. So it's kind of a big deal when he has a new kind of flagship Skybound image book come out. So we're very excited to read that. The hype is crazy this week. Tons of people I know are sharing, the like dozens of blind bags that they opened, again proving Skybound knows how to do it. They're putting all kinds of crazy surprises in the bags. In addition to variants of issue 1, different covers, you could also get issue 2, issue 7, and issue number 10.
Yeah.
I don't think we've ever seen anyone do this as a stunt before, where they've released bonus issues as far out as issue 10 for a series. So and pretty wild.
That just speaks to the genius of Robert Kirkman, wherein most writers don't have issue 10 written and drawn out before the first issue even hits the shelves. But Robert Kirkman says, no, we're going to do this completely different. We're going to have the first 10 written and done and ready to put in blind bags to really confuse everyone.
I wonder how many people who pulled those were like, I'm not. Oh, let's say this. This is funny. Vargas went to his comic shop and was like, I'll buy a blind bag instead of an A cover. It's a little more fun. Gets back to his car, pops the thing open, gets an issue number 2. Is like, oh shit, for the podcast this week, I have to read issue 1. So he goes back into the store and is like, I'll buy another blind bag, right? And I've got another chance of getting some cool, rare cover. And what are the odds that I get one of these ultra rare subsequent issue covers again? And he gets the same exact one. He gets another issue 2. So he has 2 issue 2s and no copies of issue 1, which I think he eventually got himself an A cover. However, Vargas, we're missing you again this week. Yeah. He injured himself on the whipped cream slide from last week during his birthday celebration.
Yep.
But nothing serious. He'll be back next week.
Yeah. Folks, you have to be careful when you get to that advanced age that we are now approaching, that the whipped cream slides, while fun in your younger days, are kind of laborious and a bit of a hazard for anyone approaching his advanced age as Vargas. So let this be a warning from all of us here at First Issue Club. Know your limitations and maybe do like a kiddie whipped cream slide and protect your back. Wear fresh insoles in your shoes and just get your yearly checkup, folks.
I love that. Do a slip and slide of whipped cream. You don't need
that's almost even better.
Massive slide. You make a sundae on your way, right? You put a dollop of ice cream halfway down, a cherry a little bit further, some diced bananas, marshmallow fluff. By the end of it, you got yourself a split.
Yeah, I mean, who doesn't want a big scoop of Vargas split straight from the water slide?
The pool at the end has tahini around the edge.
Do you have an ice cream topping that you enjoy that other people would go, you're an insane person?
You know what? I do like mint chocolate chip a lot. And I'll even go as far as to say actual mint. That when you get mint chocolate chip, it's not like actual mint flavor. I actually like the like super spearminty mint leaf like crushed into ice cream. I think is so good. And a lot of people eat that and they're like, I'm eating herbs. I don't want to eat that for like my ice cream, but I think it's really good. I don't mind kind of some of the funkier flavors.
You love that double mint.
Oh yeah. Give me the double mint of spearmint gum in my ice cream.
You're a madman.
Completely demented. You know what flavor I think would be great on ice cream though is Space Camper Cosmic IPA from Boulevard Brewing Company.
You're so right.
Such a good treat. I could probably manage this as like like just I described a kind of like herbally ice cream. Imagine a hops ice cream. That'd be really interesting.
I want to see a Space Camper float is what I want.
Space Camper float. I could make that right now.
Get it blended up. Put tahini in there.
Put some vanilla bean and tahini.
Put some pralines and dick in that Space Camper float.
What's that from?
Wayne's World.
Wayne's World. Okay.
If he was an ice cream, he'd be pralines and dick. Give me the flashlight. This is like the third time we've talked about Wayne's World in like the last 2 weeks.
I know. I used to watch it like weekly when I was younger. I love it.
It is, dare I say, a perfect movie. And
it's
then also
one of the most quotable movies for our generation, for sure.
An example of the sequel possibly being better than the original.
Yeah, I do like the sequel a lot.
So
the whole it is like the first movie isn't really like it has parodies and stuff in it, but it's not really a parody movie. The second movie is almost like a proto scary movie in a way where it's just like constantly parodying other movies. And that was the first time I remember having seen something like that. Or at least one that was like right for my age.
Yeah, I think it was the prototype for like your scary movies and your lampoonish, pretty like on the nose comedy of its genre that it's trying to mimic and lampoon.
Yeah, right. Well, we love you, Boulevard Brewing Company. Thanks you for making First Issue Club possible. You're a great tasting IPA and my favorite one to drink on a regular basis.
Yum, yum, give me some Space Camper IPA. It's not a beer. It's a journey. Mike, do you actually... I think Boulevard now, the Boulevard Space Camper line, literally the glue that is keeping this show together.
Oh, yeah. We would have quit a long time ago if it weren't for Boulevard.
It is... It is the reason for this podcast season that we get together. I don't even like talking to you guys, but I know if I go to your home, there'll be a Space Camper waiting for me.
Yes, that's right.
And, you know, I get a comic book and a Space Camper, and that's if I have to deal with you guys for a couple hours, so be
it. Did you see our Name Brothers, the comic book club, posted that the Eisner Award winners accidentally got posted early on
God.
Eisner's website, and then it quickly was taken down. Did
you see who won?
Well, the comic book club posted the winners list.
Oh, that's not cool.
They posted it on their own website, right?
Yeah, but then they took it away, right?
Yeah, I don't. Once it's out, I think it's kind of fair game.
I'm not disagreeing with what you're saying. I'm just saying, come on. Like, someone made a mistake on the Eisner's website and was like, oh, fuck, I need to unsend this. It's like sending an email to the wrong person. You're like, I need to recall this email. Please just, like, disregard. And I get it. Like,
don't disregard. If someone is like, ooh, I shouldn't have sent you that, please disregard, are you reading the email?
So this is so in the weeds. If Outlook has the feature that if you recall it and the other person hasn't opened it, then it just gets deleted from their inbox. Okay. However, if I have opened it and they say, please disregard this, you were goddamn right I'm reading that.
Okay.
It's in my inbox. If the Eisners had emailed me the winners...
Well, you're arguing this is a different situation. Did you see the whole thing with the Heat posting a thing about like LeBron coming to Miami and he hadn't announced his decision yet?
Yeah.
And they were like, we're very sorry. We're just preparing for if he comes here.
Right.
So they might have blown that. I'm interested to see if he actually ends up going there, if that's the deal. But I think I'm scrolling through here and, to not violate your high moral code.
Thank you.
For sharing these things. I won't share any of them. But I think I'm also kind of like not surprised by a lot of the outcomes. And every year there's a lot of like usual suspects on this list too.
Let me guess. Jordy Belair won something?
Would you believe it or not, if Jordy Belair miraculously won her like 40th best coloring Eisner?
While Mike Spicer just fumes in his
yes,
home.
Totally right. I think they have to name that the Jordy Belair Award at some point, right? You'd probably do it. It'd be weird to give Jordy Belair the Jordy Belair Award, but after she retires, I would think they should name it the Jordy Belair Award for Best Colorist.
It is funny that like when you're an all-star athlete and you've just done so many amazing things and you've put up so many amazing stats, they like retire your number, right? Like in the Bulls organization, no one can be 23. That's Jordan's number. You can't have it. Nowhere else in any other occupation does that happen. Like, we don't like, you're not going to hang up my cubicle when I stop being an accountant. They're just like, no one can touch the APAR specialist that Greg Lichtai was. We're just going to burn his chair in a Viking burial and, bronze his cubicle walls, hang it up from the rafters, and retire his phone number to his landline at work.
Yeah.
We're going to publish his team's thread line so everyone can read the things that he said, the amazing inspirational quips he had. No other occupation does that, where they just, they're not going to say that no one else can write something is killing the children when James Tynion retires.
Yeah. Too true. Too true, Greg.
Two truths and a lie.
Do you have any comic book news for me? For moi?
For you specifically, no.
I'll say that every publisher is kind of holding anything fun they've got left to say for San Diego Comic-Con.
I did see that
panels coming up. Marvel's going to announce a lot of stuff. DC's going to announce a lot of stuff.
Dark Horse is doing another D&D ongoing, which, I hope it works out for them, honestly. There needs to be a good D&D comic book sometime. They just kind of seem sporadic in their execution with that. As far as any other like kind of crazy publisher news, it is only Thursday of time of recording, so no one's really dropped any any juicy details. So stay tuned for next week's episode, and we're just going to recap the whole gosh darn thing, and you're going to love it.
Yep. Okay. Should we get to comics then?
Yeah, I think we should.
Well, this might be a quick one.
And that's okay. Sometimes that happens. When you're down a Vargas, that chatterbox, you kind of lose some of that, the magic.
All right, I think we got to talk about Terminal first.
Yeah, I didn't read it, so
that's the headliner. I can't believe you haven't read it. I feel bad almost like summarizing it without you having had a chance to absorb this yet.
It's not your fault. That's mine.
But it must be discussed. As we already know, Robert Kirkman, first name on the comic book, but another club favorite, Joe Casey, is co-writing this one, and our artist is Andy Kubert. So what a frickin' team on this comic already. I want to say right out the gate, I think there's been a lot of nostalgia lately for early Image stuff. And that it's they had an anniversary recently and they republished a bunch of classics. Liefeld brought back like another kind of reboot of some of his early comics. Witchblade has had a great comeback in the last couple years. And same have some other stories there. New Invincible series that, even though came quite a bit later than the dawn of Image, now given time relatively, I think it's closer to the beginning of Image now than it is the
well,
and then to now.
There was a Local Man, which was like kind of a critique of early 90s Image superhero style characters, which I thought was incredible, but stays in the same kind of realm that you're talking about, where there's this renewed interest in early indie 90s comic books.
Yes. And I think just looking at this logo, it has the vibe of one of those early Image comic books. And definitely feels that way, where like a lot of those books introduce new teams to you and really quickly you were dropped in. Just like, picking up your Youngbloods #1 might have been like opening up X-Men 417 and being like, there's a whole team of guys here. Like, what's going on? Like, pick up the pieces. Like, these guys were all so used to writing these big team books that they created their teams and kind of jumped right into the like big worlds that had been established. And that's very much what this comic felt like to me. Tons of characters, tons of universe that's already been built, and you're just like scratching the surface of it and getting familiar with it through a couple of POV characters. So that's my initial read without giving anything away. Now I'm going to give you a summary of kind of what the comic book is about, and if you want to avoid spoilers or anything for this one, maybe skip ahead 5 to 10 minutes even. Okay, so this comic really breaks down into the fact that there's two forces that are like superpowered individuals. And they both have a kind of different ethos for how their superpowers should be used and how they shouldn't be used, or who should be granted superpowers and who shouldn't be. But I think ultimately at the end of the day, they both fancy themselves more or less the good guys. You know what I mean? So while the comic presents to you with a pretty clear, like, these are the good guys, these are the bad guys at the beginning of the comic book, by the end of it, you're left thinking, I'm not so sure, which, leave it to Kirkman to set up something that feels like, oh, turns out the people I was following for the first arc of this are maybe actually the villains. It's very like Omni-Man of a decision or early twist to make. On top of that, there was another very Invincible early twist that we love from Kirkman, I think, in that our POV character is a relative of this character on the front of the comic book. She's been looking for her forever, and is trying to get to the bottom of like what happened to her sister. Why did her older sister disappear? And her older sister ultimately comes and finds her when someone from the alternate agency of superheroes also comes looking for her. And
Gotcha.
what you basically find out is that a lot of people are genetically predisposed to getting superpowers, but they have to be awakened. And if you can get a hold of certain people first and awaken them first, then they're more than likely to have joined your cause, understood this higher power through your lens, and go with you. So with this woman, our hero, who's already part of the superhero cabal, being one of the strongest superpowered people there is, everybody wants to know where her sister is.
Sure.
Because her sister could be very predisposed to being a hero. And we follow her. We learn about these organizations through her eyes as she's being introduced to this idea. And then it is more or less kind of your superhero origin story where, oh, she's so super powerful. Could her sister also be the next like Superman type character of this world? And she goes through the process to become a superpowered individual. And it basically like melts her skin and bones.
Okay.
So really surprising, again, your POV character here, who you're assuming is going to be the lead of the entire series, is killed by the end of the issue. So
Like, okay.
real roller coaster of a first issue.
So, hold on. So that character's not coming back?
Not coming back.
So why is it called Terminal?
Seem pretty definitive. So it's called Terminal because I think transitioning.
If you don't succeed with the crossover, you're dead.
Yeah, because you're dead, right? One way or another, you're dead. I think like it even successfully transitioning might mean that you're on the road to like an expiration, and some people go right to expiration. So
Interesting.
It there is something to the title there, yeah. You do hit the end of the book and you're like, Terminal, that's why. But I loved it. When it first started, I was like, too much world, so too many characters. I read the first 5 pages twice to be like, who's saying what, and get my bearing of like what exactly the conflict is and what's going on. Because when we throw you right into action, you're like, who killed what, or like, how are these two scenes that I just saw back to back related, or are they different people than the people I was just with? Like, it kind of takes a sec to get your bearing in this, but once you're past five pages, it like really gets rolling, and you get super invested in these characters, and then we've got the outcome that I just shared. So, I really want to get my hands on one of the advanced second issue copies too, because I can't wait to see like what are the repercussions of what just happened. But there is some real finality to it, that like this character is not coming back. It's not like a misdirect.
Well, I kind of wish I didn't get that character's face tattooed on me, because now I look pretty stupid.
First appearance, last appearance.
Yeah, that book's gonna pop off in pricing. Cool. Yeah, I you know what? To be honest, this book kind of just flew under my radar. And I knew it was coming out. I knew there was blind bag stuff, but I just, for whatever reason, just blipped on it.
Yeah, it's, to me, I think
also,
it's... Go ahead.
I want to be honest, and I'm not gonna bash Kirkman, but after Skinbreaker, his book before this, I kind of needed a Kirkman break.
Oh yeah,
because that book was touted, as the next Kirkman vehicle, like the next thing that you want to get. And I read that book, and it was fine, but like we have talked about before on the show about inflated importance and manufactured hype.
Well, let me say this, though. I think Terminal is being presented to us like another big Kirkman epic.
Right.
Whereas Skinbreaker didn't have like near as many variants. It didn't have blind bags. It didn't have the hubbub. It was more of like a contained, smaller story. Like the hype for Terminal to me is leaps and bounds what Skinbreakers was.
Well, I'll have to check it out because it sounds cool, and I love it when a main character that I love and get a tattoo of is turned into goop. What can I say? I'm a goop guy. I love a good goop character.
But I think very Invincible, very X-Men, very like with like I said, a tinge of that like super early like Wildcats kind of image vibe.
Yeah.
So I think this is going to be, you know how like Void Rivals has been a comic that's like really persisted in quality and interest through like past like 20 issues now. I could very easily see this being the same way.
Well, like I said, I'm going to check it out because I maybe did myself a disservice by not grabbing this book.
Kirkman hits a lot of hits.
He's a hit maker.
He's a hit maker, this guy. Are you still reading Void Rivals?
No. It achieved for me what I wanted it to achieve.
Yeah, it got it's an epic now. Again, like it like a lot of his comics start very intimate and then become massive. And this book has now reached the point where it's becoming massive. And that loses some people. But I think since I'm an X-Men fan, I'm massive universe, massive amount of characters brained, and was like all here for it. And it's interesting with this book because I think a lot of these Kirkman books do that. And this is the first one in a minute where it's like, hey, first issue threw tons of characters at me instead of doing the thing where it's like, you know, just the family in the, you know, first couple issues of Invincible, or just the couple in Void Rivals, or just the cursed guy in Outcast. You know what I mean? Like all of those. What's the one he did? Oblivion Song. Like he's one of the last people left on Earth. Like a lot of his comics start isolated and get big. This one kind of started big, which is interesting to me. And I think kind of Skinbreakers also kind of started with like, here's like a society, and even though it's like kind of like a microcosm of like all these politics within a singular society, it still had tons of characters and politics and all this stuff in it that you don't normally get from him right off the bat. But I think easy one to say, hey, I should go pick this up if you want to be part of a fun comics conversation, just because so many people are going to be reading this.
Everybody wanted to be on the Robert Kirkman train just in case it turned into another Invincible.
Yeah, it's one of the funny things is that once you've got a comic like that, you'll never have that moment again because everyone will pre-order so many copies of it. And one, the expectations are high, but let's say like even if you exceed them, there's so many copies of a thing at this point now that it's like, yeah, that's always going to kind of be a $5 to $10 comic, even if it's like one of the most like classic series ever.
Well, I will say this though, Robert Kirkman did it twice with Walking Dead and Invincible, two underprinted books almost in tandem that just shot off in popularity.
Yeah, he had that zone of not being like comic mogul and released two bangers in the zone.
Yeah.
I also think that like Tinian had the opportunity to do something like that, and he hit with Something is Killing the Children.
Yeah.
And then Department of Truth was the other one that never quite got to the same level as Something is Killing.
Which is insane because that book is revolutionary.
I think you could also argue that Brian K. Vaughan did it twice with Why the Last Man and Saga.
Yeah, which is crazy because those were so far apart.
They are far apart.
Timing.
Yeah. So that kind of breaks our rule.
And I would almost argue that Why the Last Man didn't get to such popularity until Saga had already come out. It's like, it's a weird thing because you could very easily get old issues of Why the Last Man pretty, easily.
Yeah.
And then right around when Saga came out, I think there was a resurgence in his older work, and that was the series that got scooped up really quick.
Yeah. Yeah, that's an interesting one. I don't know. That Why the Last Man was like 12 issues, right?
No, it was like
Did it
50.
go way longer? Oh, geez,
yeah.
Okay. I'm so wrong. I think
I want to at least went into the upper 40s.
I only read the first graphic novel, I think.
It's
Why
good.
the Last Man series. I should get the Omni. There's an omnibus that's very affordable.
What you need to do is get the deluxe editions of the volumes because they're way easier to read than the giant omnibus, and they're like in a bigger format, and it's just a leaps and bounds better reading experience than the.
I do like the Image hardbacks. Is that what you're talking about?
Mm-hmm. Yes.
They're gorgeous on a shelf.
Yeah,
I've got the.
Matter of fact, I'll bring them over.
Ones. Oh, okay.
I'll bring them over, and you can read it.
Cool. That'd be great. Would love to borrow those bad boys. Went to 60 issues.
60. That's right. I know it went a long, long time.
I think I just read 1 through 12. I must have had like a first graphic novel at some point.
Man, wait till you get to the part where the monkey talks. It is crazy.
We could talk about great comic book writers forever. But let's get on to more new comic books.
Okay, yeah.
What, were you going to ask me something?
Well, yeah, I was, but the question I'm going to ask is going to split off into a lot deeper conversations that maybe we'll just wait for a Patreon to do.
Okay.
But mainly the question is, are you worried that we're now reaching an age where the masterworks that we grew up on and appreciated and kind of made our collecting style and like what we appreciate as far as stories are going to be forgotten or like not thrown into categories for like why things are as good as they are? Specifically, like, I don't see many people talking about Why the Last Man. I don't see many people talking about Fables. I don't see and those were like pretty pivotal books in my early collecting that like showed me what rich storytelling was. And then I'm also sure that there are books from the 80s and 70s that older collectors are also being like, why is no one talking about
if you didn't have this before?
Yes.
Yeah. Right.
So we'll save that for a Patreon.
Yeah, you're right. We could go on and on about that. I do think one small thing I'll say is that I do think there's a little bit of like new collectors or new readers are so TV show and movie hype brained.
Yeah.
That if the movie or TV show doesn't do well, or if there's not going to be one, they're like, I don't care about this.
1,000%. And that's
really a drag.
Yeah. Yes, that's a super drag.
Okay.
Can
I
take a turn? Yes, please. I have been chomping at the bit, wanting to talk about Gambit Wanted from Marvel Comics, written by Chris Claremont, and then written or illustrated by Robert Gill. It's Gambit. It's a book about Gambit. trying to save his sister from a high stakes poker game wherein she is being set up. And so, here's the thing. You may know this, Mike, because you're a huge X-head. I didn't know Gambit had a sister. I mean, maybe it's like a chosen sister.
Yeah, to be honest, And if this is a take my X-Men fandom moment, I'm fine with that. But I didn't know that.
I think,
or at least I don't remember it.
So he's gone back to Louisiana to see what's going on with all this hubbub, with all the new revitalized mutant hate that is sweeping the nation. And he is
before you get too far.
Yeah.
Mick, I want to ask you,
Mm-hmm.
because the X-Men book that's ongoing right now
Mm-hmm.
with Gambit in it is
Mm-hmm.
based in the whole team's in Louisiana. Do you know, because traditionally when Claremont writes X-Men books now, they're kind of like off in their own zone and don't really acknowledge the rest of the goings on. Do you know if this is like an in-story, in-canon Gambit thing, or if it's kind of like its own siloed, like very separate in like Claremont's imagination?
What costume is Gambit wearing? Oh, wait, hold on. This story takes place after Gambit 2022, number 5, and just before Uncanny X-Men 270.
Oh, way back.
Yeah.
Way back.
So this is a throwback.
Okay, yeah.
And he's basically going back to his old stomping grounds in Louisiana, where he was kind of a mentor to these like Lost Boy children that like they're not all boys, they're like girls and boys, but they're basically just like street urchins that are like on the skids, and they're like just freegans trying to like live and you know, be little ruffians that get into trouble, and Remy's there to kind of get them back on track.
Mm-hmm.
And he goes to get one of them out of a card game because it's too high stakes, and it's more or less a setup to do something, either kill one of these kids or abduct them. And he successfully gets the kid out of there, but then the woman who was trying to do the abduction or the murder hires Bullseye to go after Gambit.
Mm-hmm.
Gambit and Bullseye have this fight where they... It is fun to have both superheroes who are known just for throwing shit are battling one another.
That is funny.
And then it ends in a way that makes me so upset that Gambit successfully takes out Bullseye, knocks him into the river, and like a bunch of rocks fall on Bullseye, essentially trapping him underwater to his death. Gambit saves him. Just pulls him out and saves his life. And it's just like, you had him. Like, God damn it.
I can't kill you, mes amis.
Yeah, mes amis, I cannot kill you. What would Rogue do to me if she found out that I let you die? Come on, friend, let's split a bowl of gumbo and have ourselves a time.
I'm sorry, yes. Sorry. I hate reading Gambit because
I always read it with a fucking Creole accent in my brain, and it annoys me.
So tedious. Here's my biggest problem with Rogue and Gambit being in a couple is that they both phonetically spell out the way they pronounce things, and it's just word muck, just back and forth and back and forth and back and forth.
If they were real people and I was forced to listen to a conversation between them, I think I would choose to kill myself.
I really appreciate when people are just like, I'm going to write Rogue like a normal person, and you can put some Southern flavor on those words in your brain if you would like to. But I don't need everything, like every other word to like end short with an apostrophe. Like that just drives me nuts. It's so hard to read.
The American vocabulary added the G to most of the words that end in G, and when you knock it off and remove it, it does not make it more Southern or more Creole, okay? It just makes you kind of weird to do that. And then, like, Claremont will add, like, a random T in between words. Like, instead of, like, saying can't, it's just, like, the T is in there to, like, make you like skip in the sentence to like, oh, I'll kind of fill in the blanks there, and it's just like, oh my god, it is very annoying to read because you read it as Bubba Gump, and
yeah,
and that was Gambit wanted. It is a Chris Claremont story to the T, set into his timeline that he's very comfortable with and basically established. So we're not going to throw any shade there, but it is for a reader of a certain age, and that grew up with a certain type of X-Men story.
Yeah, I love what he did for X-Men with X-Men, and that's an understatement. The guy is X-Men.
Yes.
And all credit to, Stan and Jack for creating the place for these sort of characters to exist. X-Men did not become what it was going to become until Chris Claremont touched it. So he's like the godfather of what it ultimately became to me. At the same time, he holds the characters so precious that he refuses to acknowledge and grow with where other creators have taken it.
Right.
And so he will forever work within the zone of like, these are the untold stories of my X-Men. And I do think that gets to a point where you're just like, hey, this was the moments before Extinction Agenda. Like, for a 25-year-old X-Men fan, most of them are going to be like, what is this? Like, it's not like, doesn't like tonally fit in. It's like, doesn't have any of the like stuff about Gambit that like I kind of understand him to be now in this moment. So I do understand that it is a little bit for like people our age and up.
And I think we also had the same
critique. Then I might be a little young for it.
We totally are. But when Walt Simonson did some Thor stories a year or two ago, I had the same critique of just like, I'm not going to knock Walt Simonson, right?
Yeah.
He created Thor. He set Thor onto a level that is like untouchable.
Yeah.
And so when he comes back to do these like legacy stories, absolutely he should, because he helped make the character fundamental. But for me as a younger reader reading that, it is gobbledygook, and it is so entrenched in lore and like mythos that I don't know what the fuck is happening.
Yes.
But it should still happen, but I'm not going to like it.
In another 10, 15 years, Peter David, he goes back and he writes his...
Oh, Peter David's dead.
Oh, Peter David died.
Yeah, he died a year and a half ago.
Oh, that sucks.
Yeah, he was pretty sick, but...
R.I.P.
But honest to that point, and I almost made that point, kids are going to go back and read old Hulk issues that Peter David did.
Yeah.
And have the same issue.
Yeah.
Because before he passed, Peter David did do some like legacy Hulk stories, and it was just like, where is this in the timeline?
Yeah, you have to be a Peter David's Hulk mega fan.
Right, and because it's just like, oh, well, this takes place like in this thread, and we're like,
and here's my thing. I've read a decent amount of Peter David Hulk, but it's when you read like 100 other issues of Hulk in between the last time I read that run, it is like very hard to immediately reacclimate myself to it, unless all I'm doing is reading Hulk. And a lot of comic book fans aren't a one character fan, right?
Fundamentally, all those characters, whether it be Claremont, X-Men, Peter David Hulk, Walt Simonson Thor, have changed exponentially.
Yeah.
And that's because those original creators aren't contemporaries anymore. They are like the establishment of those characters. Not in a negative way, and it's not derogatory, but it's because you've become so entrenched with that character, you are, quote unquote, the man. And like these new contemporary creators that come in, try to bring new life into the character and tell new stories. They are what you are when you first started. And like it just changes what the character is and how it's told.
Yeah. I really try to keep reading, supporting, buying new stuff and not get stuck in an era, and I think it's tough sometimes, but I
Right.
it depends. I mean, every era might like ebb and flow or be a little to your taste and a little not to your taste,
Yeah.
but I'm like, I want to support these people doing cool stuff or taking a risk and trying to do something new and interesting with Spider-Man. And it's
Mm-hmm.
like I'm getting to an age now where I'm like, hey, when Dan Slott writes any Spider-Man stuff, I'm like, this is in the zone for me.
I'm in, baby.
And it takes me right back to his run that I loved so much. And I'll always do the same for like if Mark Waid writes any
Mm-hmm.
Daredevil stuff that's, in the midst of his Daredevil run, I'm going to be like, I'm in. I
Right.
think those are a couple characters and a couple writers that I'm like, I was so invested in those runs. I could always go back to them for an untold story and
Mm-hmm.
be like super stoked on it. So I understand it, and I've got those guys that it works for me on. But I do think we're a little too young to be those guys for Claremont all the time.
Yeah. And like, I mean, just like what you said with Spider-Man, if you look at my collection, I'm a 2014 to 2018 Image comic book shill. Like that
Yeah.
was just my shit. There was so much stuff popping off at that time that I was in it. And like if those stories ever get revisited or like there's like a weird collection coming out that's like a trade or something, like I'm the one that's just like, yeah, I need to get the new Birthright trade. Why not? Like
Yeah.
totally. It's just like I'm a collector of an era, and I accept that.
Yeah.
But I think what makes you and I different, and Vargas, and like people that grow with the community, is the ability not to reject new stuff that's coming out and saying it's not as good as the stuff that you like.
Yeah.
Like
Totally.
we don't want to be the angry guy that yells at clouds, but
Yeah.
it's still okay to like your shit that created the collector that you are now, and that's okay.
Yeah. Right.
There's going to be a whole generation in 15 years that only reads Invincible or Absolute Batman, and they're going to have to deal with the same situation.
Yep. Completely. Okay. We're almost at an hour. I thought this was going to be a
Dang.
short one.
Dang.
Look at us. Okay. I'll say that Marvel Zero came out this
Mhm.
week,
Mhm.
and all this is a collection of all of the free comic book day books. So if you
Mhm.
missed those or you forgot what happened and just don't want to dig those comics out again, this
Mhm.
is a nice refresher of those things. All the free comic book day books kind of foreshadow what's to come, and then we're getting to a point where like we're closer to uh Amazing Spider-Man 1000,
Mhm.
and Doom Quest has started, and Queen in Black is starting next week.
Yeah.
So it was nice to read these again and get kind of centered back to what little teasers and snippets of information they'd given us on these things. So not technically a number one, not technically anything new, but little PSA if you saw that in your shop and you were like, what is this thing? That's what
Yeah.
it is. Okay, I read Sicko by Teenie Howard out
Oh,
on
nice.
Ignition Press. I got the B cover. It's very painterly. And this is about a young woman who starts to get sick and no one can diagnose her. So she's essentially told, like, you are going to have to go into like hospice care or something, right?
Oof.
And she's like unwilling to accept that as an answer and continually wants to find out, what it is exactly with me. And then it turns out she's got a little bit of like a sci-fi thing where she contains so much of a sickness, but she can make herself feel better by passing that sickness onto others. So it's almost like sickness refuels in her, and she
Yeah.
gets like really sick and has to go to the hospital and blah blah blah. But if she expels it into other people, she's gonna feel great for like a week.
Yeah. She's
So
like a sickness machine.
she's like a biological weapon almost, like a walking
Whoa.
biological weapon. And so there's kind of like a task force. I don't know, like I'm assuming they're like government related. We don't have a lot of information from the first issue on like who exactly this is and how much they know. about what her deal is, but they're after her, trying to kill her just because she's too much of a risk to not have under control. Or do they want to control her? Do they want to just eliminate the threat of her before it gets out of hand?
Or do they want to use her to like make weapons and all kinds of weird gross stuff?
Drop her in a war zone and
just like on a parachute. Just like,
just
better
like,
watch out. Here I
to
come.
make everybody sick. But
Hope
love
you have PTO.
Love Teeny Howard, and this was an interesting one. When I was reading it, I know one thing I hear from my wife and a lot of her friends is the challenge of going to your doctor and talking about pain you're experiencing or issues you're having, and then kind of being like written off as like, those are just women things. And,
oh God, yeah.
And then like finally finding a doctor who is like, no, we're going to investigate this further. Mm-hmm. That I do think there is this, global issue with women's health and people just assuming everything is like menstruation, normal stuff. And hey, for some people it's terrible. For some people it's not so bad. Yeah. And, no one took endometriosis seriously for a really long time. And this book seems like it's trying to be an embodiment of that to an effect, and maybe even like a revenge fantasy story to some effect, the way some of like the medical professionals in it are dismissive to her and then have a little bit of a comeuppance later in the comic. It kind of feels like a response to that. So I really appreciated it for that reason. And shout out to Teeny Howard for always writing awesome stuff. Mm-hmm. So pick up Sicko on Ignition Press. Sicko! There's a lot of like mucus and gross stuff in it. So I guess trigger warning. If you can't handle that stuff visually, just like avoid this book.
Sponsored by Facial Tissue. I read real quick, Dread the Hall, H.
Oh, yeah.
This was basically a anthology book about comic book conventions.
Yep.
Think of like your Crypt Keeper books or your Tales to Astonish. You have your 4 or 5 stories set in the kind of like haunted universe or like cowboys or whatever. This one is all about the horrors of Comic-Cons and what you can experience there. It's written by Jordan Hart and Chris Ryle with just a murderer's row of additional artists who kind of bring their stories to life. This is one for the real heads. All right. This is the one who have been to conventions, who have, it's apropos that it's coming right before San Diego Comic-Con, probably not by any, accident that this book popped up before San Diego Comic-Con, but this is filled with Easter eggs and fun things and, community jokes about comic book conventions, waiting in line for con exclusives. There's funny jokes about variant issues and regular standard issues. There's a whole story about going to a booth to buy swords. It's just like a very fun, cheeky, on the nose tales from the convention that I delighted in because, Mike, you and I have been to many conventions together. And we've seen the highest highs and the lowest lows. And we have smelled things that the human nose wasn't meant to smell. But I treasure those moments because while they are crowded and loud and hectic, I'm with the people that I love the most, which is you guys. And we get to just make these fun memories. And that's what it's all about. And that's kind of what this book is, the overarching message of like, yeah, this place is kind of stupid, isn't it? But man, it sure is fun. We go every year.
Yeah, right.
So if you really love the community that we are in and that you really love comic books and you have your own memories of comic book conventions, I encourage you to pick up Dread the Hall H.
How about it? How was the Luana Vecchio
it was
story?
It was very cool. and I know why they chose her to do it.
Yeah.
It it involves a sexy lady,
Yes.
and like, but it's not gratuitous, but it's like
I
they
assumed it
are.
kind of like handled sexism at cons. Is that
Yeah,
fair to
it's
say? Yeah.
yes,
Yeah.
yeah. It's I'll give you a sneak peek of it. It's like a new comic book movie is being announced,
Uh-huh.
and the woman that's like co-starring in the movie is just like, you don't see her. She's off panel talking of just like, are you sure I have to wear this outfit out
Uh-huh.
there on to the stage when they call my name? And they're just like, yeah, this is what the new costume is for the new movie. And like, she goes out on stage and she's like basically in like a G-string, like, you know what Bo Rat wore, his
Yes.
swimsuit is
Yeah.
basically that. And like everyone in the crowd was just like, oh my god, it's the 90s uniform. And like everyone's like freaking out because it's like it's like comic accurate, but it's like just like the most vulgar looking thing that like maybe makes sense in a comic book, maybe, but when you see it on an actual human, you're like,
You're like,
ooh,
oh
yeah, wait
God.
a minute. And then like that story takes a hard left, and like it's just a ton of fun. And there is a lot of that critique of just like there is a superhero that is a through line to this that is called the Concluder, and it's basically this woman who one of the jokes was some booth was like trying to sell exclusive variants at an inflated price, and talking to the customer of just like, yeah, like $300 sounds a lot right now, but when it gets potentially made into a movie, you'll be happy you bought it at 300. And the Concluder shows up and it's just like, what'd you say? And the vendor's just like, oh, that'll be $15 actually. And it's just like all the weird nitpicky stuff that we always complain about as fans are
Yeah.
just like, yes, we do need a superhero for the convention to save us from overpaying for food or waiting in line too long, or like, you know, hanging out with skeezy people that are like trying to grift you. So it was a delight. And when you're reading it, you're like, oh, this is a person that loves comic books and made it for comic book fans.
Yeah. I remember someone asking um uh the gal who played um Anna Hellstrom
Yeah.
in the Hellstrom TV show.
Right?
They were setting her up to become Satana,
Mm-hmm.
and someone in an interview asked her if she was going to wear the comic outfit, and she's like, "You know what? I've seen it. It's cool. She rocks it. There's like on my body, not gonna happen." It was just like like for all the points you said, it's just like it doesn't translate to a real person.
No.
Like the physics of it just don't make sense.
Right.
And it's during a time when, I mean, they were made to be ogling comics,
Right.
and
It's kind of the same
no,
reason we don't have a Vampirella movie. It's like, how do you can't translate that into a movie at all.
Yeah, right. You'd have to change it, and at that point, do the costume is so iconic as well that it's like, can you even change it?
Right.
And you're better off just like not doing it.
Right. And also, like, what do we
I'm
gain
surprised-
from a Vampirella movie?
Yeah, I mean, I'm surprised they even tried to make like a Witchblade show. And I mean, they just put her in a leather jacket and it was just her arm, right?
Yeah.
Got kind of like eldritchy armor on it. And yeah, it was just her arm. I'm looking through the pictures. But my God, can you imagine? That'd be terrible. All right, cool. That's everything I had this week.
Yeah. We're in pre-San Diego Comic-Con breaking news, so next week we're gonna have a lot to talk about.
Yeah, I'm looking forward to that. And let us know what you thought about Terminal. If you thumbs down or thumbs up it, you're excited about it or not.
Yeah,
Interested
go
to
check
hear
our
what.
socials for our Discord link and hang out with us in there. We talk about all this stuff all the time.
Yeah, we've also got. Yeah, we've already got a handful of takes and a bunch of pictures of all the blind bags people were popping open. I pre-ordered a few of them. They're on their way. Fingers crossed.
I hope you get an issue 10.
We'll see if I get them. I hope I get an issue 10 too. I want to read ahead and see if I think I'll forget by the time issue 10 actually comes out.
Is
to
it
be like, try to read this contextually. Try to put yourself in a headspace of you don't know the in between. Does this as a standalone issue make sense? It makes me wonder if it's like a capsule issue, kind of like a capsule episode of a TV series where they're just like random story that kind of exists on its own. Maybe issues 7 and 10 are like that.
just like one off? Don't really get affected by the story.
Yeah, it gives you like a backstory of one character or something.
Maybe.
And it maybe doesn't matter what order you read them in.
We'll see.
We'll see.
All right. Well, we'll talk to you guys next week.
Bye. First Issue Club podcast is brought to you by Boulevard Brewing Company, the people responsible for our favorite drinks, the Space Camper Cosmic IPA family of beers. Our show is edited and produced by our hosts Mike DeStacy, Greg Lichtig, and Andy Vargas. You can find us on social media at First Issue Club, and you can join the supporters who keep our humble podcast going on our Patreon at patreon.com/firstissueclub.